Welcome to Cost Saver Conversations. I'm Angela, and I ask the practical questions so you can quickly understand what matters. Today, I'm joined by Assad.
Hi, Angela. We are unpacking listed building running costs, hidden fees, common mistakes, and smarter planning today, and tying it back to the wider cost saver ecosystem, including tools like listed building running costs calculator, grade I/II/III, so you can turn insights into action quickly.
Just a heads up before we dive in, we are your synthetic hosts. We are great with numbers, but as AI, we can sometimes be confidently wrong. Think of us as the digital versions of your most knowledgeable, slightly caffeinated friends.
Exactly. Treat this chat as a smart estimate only, not as professional financial guidance. Always check important details with official sources or a qualified expert before making any big decisions.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're getting into something that I think catches a lot of people off guard: the actual running costs of listed buildings. Not the romantic version, the real version. And Assad is here to walk us through it. Assad, thanks for joining me again.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah, this is it's one of those topics where people's eyes kind of glaze over until it's their money, and then suddenly they're very interested.
That's so true. Because you see these gorgeous old properties and you think, oh, I could live there. And you're picturing yourself by the fireplace, not, Googling how much does lime mortar cost per square meter.
Exactly. And look, the headline number that jumps out from the sector reports is that routine maintenance on a listed property is typically around 50% higher than on a comparable modern home. So if you're spending, say, $2,400 a year on a modern house, you're looking at an extra $1,200 just for the routine stuff on a listed one.
Just for routine. That's okay, that's already quite a lot.
And that's before you get anywhere near the big jobs. Re-roofing and natural slate, repointing and lime mortar, those can run 3 to 5 times what the cement and concrete equivalent would cost on a newer property.
3 to 5 times? Wait, really?
Yeah, and I know people hear that and think, well, that's just a premium for the look of the thing. But it's not. It's genuinely about you have to use compatible materials, you need skilled labor, and these are craft skills that are in short supply. The planning regime limits the cheap shortcuts that everyone else can take. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It's not vanity pricing, it's just the reality of what the building needs.
Exactly. So, okay, there are different grades, right? Grade 1, grade 2 star, grade 2. Does the grade make a massive difference to what you're dealing with financially?
Oh, huge. So, just to put some numbers on it, about 2.5% of listed buildings are grade 1, around 5.8% are grade 2 star, and then the remaining 91.7% are grade 2. So, most people are going to be in that grade 2 bucket.
Right. But the grade affects everything. What you can change, how long consent takes, how nervous your conservation officer gets when you ring them up. Grade 1 properties demand the most rigorous oversight, long consent timelines, mandatory accredited specialists, detailed heritage statements for almost any intervention. Grade 2 is, in the middle, and Grade 2 is more manageable day to day, but you still need listed building consent for anything affecting the character of the building.
And when you say the building, you mean it's not just the main house, is it?
No, and this is the bit that this catches so many people. The listing applies to the whole building, inside and out, plus often curtilage structures. So outbuildings, walls, railings. I've seen owners try to replace a garden wall and then discover they need consent for it.
Oh, I honestly didn't realize that. I assumed it was just the main structure. Okay, so let's talk about the hidden costs because I think that's where people really get stung.
Yeah, so the visible costs, heating, insurance, council tax, those are, easy enough to budget for. The hidden ones are where the real financial damage happens, and it starts before you've even touched a brick.
Go on.
So before any work, you might need a heritage statement. That's $800 to $2,500 for a modest extension. A conservation-accredited architect charges 12% to 18% of the build cost versus 8% to 10% for a standard project. Structural engineer with heritage experience, $1,200 to $4,000 for a single intervention. BAT surveys, often required for roof works, 500 to 1,800. And sometimes those have to be spread over a summer season because of, the bat calendar.
The bat calendar. Of course, there's a bat calendar.
There is, yeah. And then the listed building consent application itself is free to submit, but preparing the drawings and supporting documents, typically 2,000 to 6,000 pounds.
So you could be looking at what, potentially 10 grand or more before anyone's even picked up a hammer?
Easily. And here's the thing that really gets people. These aren't one-off costs. Owners assume it's a one-time thing at purchase, but then they face the same fees again every time they want to alter a window or add a bathroom. It recurs.
That's actually quite demoralizing when you put it like that.
It can be, but okay, here's a practical tip. Before you instruct a heritage architect on the full works, ask for a fixed fee feasibility study, typically 600 to 1,500 pounds. It tells you in 3 to 4 weeks whether your idea is even worth pursuing before you've sunk, 4 grand into full drawings that the conservation officer might just reject anyway.
Oh, that's actually really smart. Save yourself a fortune just by checking first.
Right.
So, what about the actual materials? You mentioned lime mortar earlier. What are we talking about in terms of the cost difference?
So, lime repointing is roughly 80 to 140 per square meter versus 35 to 55 for cement. Handmade clay tile roof replacement, 180 to 280 per square meter versus 85 to 130 for concrete tiles. Heritage timber sash window restoration, and this is per window, $900 to $1,800 compared to $350 to $600 for a UPV swap, which you almost certainly can't do anyway.
Right, because UPV in a listed building is a definite no.
Pretty much, yeah. And the lead times on these materials, handmade clay tiles, riven slate, single-glazed crown glass, you're often waiting 3 to 6 months. So you can't just react to problems. You have to plan ahead or you're stuck.
Which is kind of a lot to manage. Okay, so let's talk mistakes. What are the big ones that really multiply costs?
The biggest one, and I see this again and again, is buying without a specialist survey. A standard Level 2 Rick's Homebuyer report is just not designed for a 17th century timber-framed cottage. You need a Level 3 building survey, ideally from a surveyor who's got conservation accreditation.
What does a generalist survey miss?
So many things. Cement render trapping moisture in solid walls. Modern gypsum plaster on lime substrates causing salts and blown finishes. Inappropriate damp-proof course injections that did nothing useful. Concealed beetle or rot in floor voids. And, this is the big one, past unauthorized alterations that you, the new owner, inherit responsibility for.
Oh no, that sounds like a nightmare.
It is. So there's this case. Sarah and Mark, they bought a Grade 2 farmhouse in Shropshire for $485,000 in 2022. Within a year, the local authority issued an enforcement notice because a previous owner had built a rear extension back in 2014 without consent. Their solicitor searches hadn't flagged it because no application had ever been made.
Wait, so how would you even know?
That's exactly the problem. You wouldn't unless you had a specialist surveyor who knew what to look for. The remedial works, partial demolition, rebuilding and matching stone, cost them £62,000.
62,000 pounds for something they didn't even do. That's wild.
And here's the really sobering part. There is no statute of limitations on listed building consent breaches. None. Unauthorized works are a criminal offense under the Planning Act of 1990. The liability passes with the property, so penalties can include unlimited fines and, in serious cases, imprisonment.
Okay, that is genuinely terrifying. So the message is, get the right survey.
Absolutely. Non-negotiable.
What else? What other mistakes do you see?
Trying to make a listed home into a modern home. And I get it, people want comfort. But owners who want underfloor heating throughout, full double glazing, spray foam insulation, open plan living in a grade 2 farmhouse, they usually end up either refuse consent, serve notices, or spending 2 to 3 times their original budget on workarounds.
I hadn't thought about it like that. It's like you're fighting the building.
That's exactly what it is. The better approach is to ask what the building wants. Secondary glazing rather than replacement. Breathable wood fiber insulation in roof voids rather than spray foam on rafters. Discrete electric underfloor heating in stone-flagged areas rather than rip and replace. The results are often warmer and, honestly, far cheaper.
Fair enough. Work with it, not against it.
And then there's choosing the wrong trades. A general builder who's never worked with lime will use cement, and you'll pay for the damage in 5 to 10 years. Vetting tradespeople is one of the highest return things you can do.
Right. So let's get into actual numbers. If someone owns a listed building or is thinking about buying one, what should they realistically be budgeting annually?
Okay, so we break it into 4 buckets: fixed, cyclical, reactive, and aspirational. Starting with fixed, these are the costs that arrive whether you do anything or not. Buildings and contents insurance, £900 to £3,500, depending on rebuild value and grade. And by the way, the rebuild figure can be 2 to 3 times the market value because it's calculated on like-for-like traditional materials.
2 to 3 times the market value? That catches people out, doesn't it?
Massively. Specialist policies typically cost 25% to 60% more than standard cover. Then council tax, listed homes tend to sit in band E to G, so £2,400 to £4,800. Energy bills for solid wall single glazed properties commonly use 18,000 to 30,000 kilowatt hours of gas equivalent annually, which translates to about 2,200 to 4,500 pounds at current rates.
So we're already at what, potentially over 10 grand a year just on the fixed stuff?
Yeah, easily. Add water, sewerage, standing charges, another 500 to 900 pounds. Chimney sweeping and boiler servicing, 200 to 400 pounds. It adds up fast.
And then the cyclical stuff on top of that.
Right, so things you do on a 5 to 10 year cycle, but should annualize for planning. External painting of timber windows and doors, every 5 to 7 years, $1,500 to $4,000 per cycle. Lime repointing, small areas, budget $600 to $1,500 per year. Roof inspection and minor repairs, $400 to $1,200 per year. Gutter maintenance, drainage clearing, it all ticks along.
It sounds like you really need a dedicated pot of money just for this.
You do, and this is probably my biggest practical tip. Open a dedicated maintenance savings account. Set up a standing order equal to roughly 1.5% to 2.5% of your property's rebuild value each year. So for a $500,000 rebuild figure, that's $625 to $1,040 per month.
Per month? Yeah, that's a second mortgage.
It feels like it until you face an unexpected $18,000 chimney rebuild, and suddenly that savings account looks like the best decision you ever made.
Fair point. And then there are the really big reactive repairs, the ones that come along every few decades.
Yeah, these are the ones that keep people up at night. Full roof recover in heritage materials, $35,000 to $120,000. Structural timber repairs, oak frame, purlins, lintels, $8,000 to $40,000. A full window restoration program, $15,000 to $60,000. Chimney rebuild, $6,000 to $18,000 per stack. And damp remediation done properly with lime and breathable finishes, $8,000 to $25,000.
Those ranges are huge.
They are, and that's actually an important point. A square footage rule of thumb is the single most misleading way to estimate listed building costs. 2 identical-sized cottages a mile apart can have annual running costs that differ by $8,000 or more, depending on roof material, damp history, and whether previous owners used the wrong cement.
Oh, that's actually reassuring in a weird way. It means there's not just one terrifying number. It really depends on the specific building.
Exactly, which is why doing a proper assessment matters so much. Have I explained that clearly? Because I don't want people to just look at the high end of those ranges and panic.
No, that's really clear. So, after all these warnings and scary numbers, give us the encouraging bit. What can people actually do to keep costs manageable?
Right, the hopeful section. Okay, so first thing, get on first name terms with your conservation officer. Most of them are genuinely helpful, and an informal pre-application chat can save you thousands in redesigns. Just pick up the phone before you start planning.
That's surprisingly simple.
It is. Second, look into heritage VAT relief where it applies. Approved alterations to listed places of worship attract relief, and there are some repair grants available through the National Lottery Heritage Fund and county-level schemes. Third, join the Listed Property Owners Club or SPAB. Membership pays for itself in a single technical helpline call. I've seen it save people, I was going to say hundreds, but actually, no, thousands in some cases.
Wow, okay, what else?
Keep a property logbook. Photographs, invoices, consent letters going back decades. It increases resale value and reduces disputes. And then the big one, stage works over years rather than months. Your cash flow improves, and honestly, you learn the building before you start changing it. You live through a winter, you see where the damp comes in, you understand the quirks.
That makes so much sense. Let the building teach you before you start telling it what to do.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Okay, so if we're wrapping up, what's the quick summary for someone listening to this while they're, I don't know, doing the school run?
All right, quick version. 1. Routine maintenance runs about 50% higher than a modern home, and major repairs can be 3 to 5 times more. Budget for it. 2. Get a Level 3 specialist survey before you buy, not a standard one, because there's no statute of limitations on consent breaches and you could inherit someone else's mess. 3. Work with the building, not against it. Secondary glazing, breathable insulation, sympathetic approaches. 4. Set up a dedicated savings pot, 1.5% to 2.5% of rebuild value per year. And 5. Build relationships. Your conservation officer, specialist trades, heritage organizations. This isn't a solo project, it's a long-term relationship with a piece of history.
Brilliant. Assad, that's been incredibly helpful. Thank you.
My pleasure, Angela. And look, the point isn't to scare anyone off heritage ownership. It's just about going in with your eyes open and a budget that can actually carry you through the surprises.
Love it. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you next time. Quick side note, this guide connects with other cost saver blogs, especially Checklist for Verifying Local Service Providers, Postcode Crime Data and Rental Risk, and Moving to a New UK City Without Expensive Mistakes.
Exactly, and reading those together helps you connect the dots across your household budget, not just this one topic in isolation.
And if you want to apply this immediately, jump into tools like Listed Building Running Cost Calculator, Grade 1/II/II right after this episode.
Primary sources used here include Historic England and gov.uk listed building consent, so you can verify the data yourself and stay evidence-led.
That wraps this cost saver conversation with Angela and Assad. If this helped, share it with someone who could put these ideas to work this week.
Your next step is simple. Try Listed Building Running Cost Calculator, Grade 1/II/II, then read Checklists for Verifying Local Service Providers and use them together to take action today.